Do you play Angry Bird? Hold up, guys. Give me a second. Sorry, guys. I'm still kind of stuck up on that mask. I'm still fiddling with it. Anyways, this video marks a huge step in my channel or my presence on the internet because this is my first sellout. Within sellout, I mean that a company sent me their product to make some content with it, with no strings attached, so no money or any kind of deal that we made. And that is quite nice because imagine someone coming up to you in real life saying, hey, here's this thing I made. Insult me, please. Just kidding, of course. I'm gonna do a honest review. But yeah, I should do that more often, actually. Like, free stuff and I can say whatever I want about it. That's insane, right? Anyways, I'm rambling. Yeah, so what did I actually get? Well, a Australian company called Strik3D messaged me via TikTok, actually, and hit me up if I wanted to, do some content with their product. That being a phone mount. Now, because I want to do a review that actually, interests my viewers, I again asked my Discord members, link in the description, what they find most important about a phone mount and what they would like to know about this. And from a lot of people, I heard roughly the same answers or same concerns with phone mounts in general, which is how easy are they to set up? For example, the Juggernaut style phone mounts are notoriously hard to get in because they need to be mounted upwards and also downwards. In comparison, the Kagwars can just be slid in from upwards, which is way nicer. How many different phones can you fit in there? So for example, again, the Juggernaut can only fit one phone or, my iPhone 13, but it's a gamble. How impact resistant or, BB resistant is it? And does it protect the phone lens? Also, does it stay in one position when you just go hands-free, or does it just flap downward like the soft admin pouch style phone mounts? And also, does it impede magazine drop? Now, I want to make sure that you understand that this review is purely based on the perspective of Airsoft, since I cannot gain any real-world experience with it. And it's also not my point of view that I'm reviewing it from, because that wouldn't be, the use case for most of my gear and also my viewers, to be completely honest. But what actually, is in this box? What's in the box? All right, so here we have the mount itself and some little goodies, spare parts. And here's the mount. It uses kind of like the nav board style mounting system with these silicone straps that you can pull through and then mount in the front right here. So let's get a closer look in at this product, should we? So let's just get the FMA Juggernaut out the way. It ships with a nice little Australia patch, but we're not in Australia. And then here's a quick 360 of the mount itself. With a nice little laser cut logo and stuff. Anyways, let's get quickly into the features of this thing. Starting on the back side, it comes with a little... Come on! God! So this little Velcro panel can be used with conjunction with this to mount the thing to a car. So you can mount it on your dashboard and flip it up like so and then have your phone, for navigation stuff. But we're not doing that, obviously. Then in here, the strap mounts or the straps themselves can be taken out if you mount it, for example, in your car, so they don't get in the way in the back here of the Velcro actually touching. Another thing that I find quite interesting is this little Velcro spot right here, so you can put down the tab that holds the actual phone mount. That is actually quite cool, I have to say that. And then right here you have the swivel, which you can tighten or loosen with these screws right here, like any other phone mount, right? But now we come to the, I guess, rather interesting part. Number one, on the inside here, it comes pre-installed with some Velcro patches with the fitting counterpart in here that you can put on the back of your phone just to add some more, I guess, security. And then the cool part about this universal phone mount is that you can extend these sides out as much as you want, depending on, what type of, I guess, phone you have, right? But that doesn't give you enough tension because these things are not under tension. These just slide freely. Whilst, yes, you can actually screw them tighter with the screw right here. But the retention comes from the upper part, which is pretty fucking stiff. Like, I have to really pull to get this thing out. And if you notice, there's a lot of strength behind the spring in here. So this thing will definitely hold your phone. Okay, just to show you how actually universal this thing is, here's my iPhone X case for the FMA Juggernaut, mounted inside. And if I want to take it out, I need to, extend this again. Come on. Oh my god. And there we go. Right. So let's actually mount this to my plate carrier. Okay, so mounting this to your plate carrier is quite simple. You just take these straps and loop them all the way to the bottom of the Molle field. And then once you pulled them all the way through, you just put them into the, I guess, mounting points that hold these straps in place, which massively reminds me of the nav board that I had before my current, I guess, board mount thing. One thing that I immediately recognized when mounting this is how low it sits. So as you can see, there's no dead space between my middle mag and the actual foam mount. And if you have any brain cells, you can see how this will get quite interesting in terms of pulling it out. However, I have to say that the K-tar flap is like the worst placard you can have on your plate carrier if you use a ATAC device, because it's just so stiff. Like, it won't allow any forward movement or sideways movement, only those upwards movement. So with a different placard like my Halo Strategic one that I had on my ABS, this would be way easier. And the thing is, because there's this huge cutout in the bottom here, as you can see right here, it goes downwards to make space for bigger phones. This is the reason why it sits so low and impedes with magazines on, drawing them, which is massively annoying me right now. But we'll see how this works out, right? Okay, something foreshadowing the like button, and let's actually take a look at this. So as you can see, the mount is quite thick, especially with a Juggernaut case, but even without it, it is really thick and has a high profile from the side compared to just the magazine pouches, which can be annoying if you're used to running a really slick carrier. However, if you do run a more bulky vest or have more real estate in terms of Molle space on your vest, this should not be a problem whatsoever. However, the next thing cannot be ignored as easily, which is this thing is wobbly. Like, take a look at this. But what I also have to say is the FCPC has kind of a flap below its ATAC pouch, where this wobbling is just enhanced, and on different carriers you will not encounter this problem. So this is also just a setup specific problem that I have, similar to my mag access problem, because the FCPC has a very low distance between mag pouch and phone board mounting Molle space. And also I have a K-tar flap, and as I said already, this thing is stiff as fuck. However, it should be kept in mind that carriers like the FCPC with a similar cut in terms of distances between Molle spaces are quite popular on the plate carrier market, so this is definitely something that should be kept in mind. Regardless of the distance, the overall thickness of the foam board makes it difficult for me personally to re-index the mags or to reload out of my plate carrier, since I'm not used to the thickness. This can obviously be navigated by just training more, but just coming off of different foam mounts, this would be a massive change in movement that you would have to make that you just need to keep in mind. Again, this should not be a deal breaker, it is just something to be kept in mind. And again, if you have a bigger vest or you don't really reload out of your vest because your vest is more for like police work or anything else, this is also a non-issue. Now, if you remember the beginning of the video, you remember that we had a couple of points that we found on the Discord server with the help of my viewers that are important about phone mounts. And how does this foam mount perform regarding these points? Well, on the first point, which is ease of setup, it's insanely easy. You can set this up way easier than, for example, the Juggernaut mount, because it's just these two little silicone straps that slow into the Molle. It's super easy to set up, and it can also mount any kind of phone that you want due to just the huge size variety that this mount allows. The lens protection, at least on my phone, is good because I can just turn the phone in such a way that the phone camera is obstructed by these little things right here that come out and cover it. However, if your phone has, for example, the Google Pixel, a camera that goes along this line or is in the middle, for example the, I think, Xiaomi or whatever they're called, you're gonna have some troubles. However, I think there are also cases that you can buy where you can cover the cameras for the airsoft match, for example. Now, how easy is it to access magazines? Again, I have a K-tar flap, which just makes it insanely hard anyways, but in my experience, it massively hinders the quick access and re-indexing of mags into placards. However, I have a different placard on the way where I will test this again and then probably update this in a short, depending on when the placard arrives. But from what I can tell now, it's just not that easy. In terms of positions and what angle you can, go hands-free on your device, pretty easy. It holds in any direction that you want to. Super easy, so that's really nice. Not like those fabric or nylon phone mounts. In terms of durability and drop resistance, I have dropped this thing from above 2 meters height with a phone in it and it did not break at all, so I think that answers that question quite nicely. But what is the final say on this phone mount? Is it good? Is it bad? What is it? Well, that depends. If you have a slick carrier or a carrier that has a little distance between the mag pouches and where the foam would be mounted, like me, these can get quite complicated unless you have a really elastic placard with low magazine pouches, like my Haley Strategic placard that I had on my ABS. And of course you can mount it on your magazine placard, but because this is so thick, this would massively increase the side profile, making it difficult to go into the prone position. But compared to other competitors on the market, how does it perform? Well, I think the crucial mistake with this phone mount is just that it wanted to be more than it should be. You cannot make a super rigid universal phone mount that can also double as a car mount for your phone without swapping any parts. In my opinion, that is not possible unless you want to pay a lot more money than the 130 Australian dollar price tag, which comes to about 70 euros if I'm not mistaken. But credit where credit's due, I texted with the guy from Strik3D and he told me that they are already working on a more slimline and more plate carrier specific version, which I massively appreciate. But regardless of the thickness, this can still be a great phone mount for people that use different phones or just don't want to buy a new one every time. And it is actually used, quote-unquote, operationally with police and military forces. Now again, I only received the product from Strik3D, no money, but I will still encourage you to follow them on TikTok and maybe check out their website from time to time. It is good that we have more competition on the phone mount market, and when they come out with their new mount, which I think looks way more promising, this will probably turn out to be my new phone mount. And in conclusion, I think it's safe to say that this phone mount tried to be the jack of all trades, master of none, but just ended up being a lukewarm semi-jack of some trades, which is pretty sad because the idea behind this is pretty good. But then again, I am genuinely excited for their newer models, and I would still encourage you to check out their website and TikTok and leave some love there and show them that their effort counts. And with that, I have nothing else for you guys, so until we see each other next time, LARP.